Hi everyone, welcome to Make Moments Matter, a music education podcast, where I share lesson ideas, songs, games, and inspiring things for your elementary music classroom. My name is David Rao, and I am the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. This episode of the podcast is a replay containing the audio version of a Musical Mondays live video. If you're not familiar with Musical Mondays, every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I go live on Facebook and Instagram to share about the lessons that I'm using in class with my students. I give a recap of my kindergarten through 5th grade lessons, and then do a deep dive about one grade level and share the books, instruments, songs, and process that I use to teach the lesson to kids. This podcast episode contains all the audio from the Musical Mondays video, but if you'd like to see a replay of the video itself, you can find a link to the archived video on YouTube when you click the link in the notes for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Here's the show. Hey everyone, my name is David Rao, and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, a variety of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. Sorry I'm starting a few minutes late. I had some technical problems. Hey, that feels par for the course for a Monday. So anyway, I'm excited to be here and sharing a little bit. I'm going to be talking today about how I walk students through reading notation for recorder, and how, not just like in general, but specifically how I help them sort of decode songs and look for patterns, similarities, differences, things that will help make reading and playing the recorder a little bit easier. That's coming up in just a second. If you hear me talk about a book, a resource, something that you are interested in, and you hear me mention in the video, I probably put a link to it on the links page, which is a page on my blog where I keep all these links for things. You can go to makemomentsmatter.org and click the video tab to find those links, or you can just click the caption at the bottom of wherever you're watching or listening to this video or podcast, however you're taking in this content. Also, there's a Facebook group if you're interested called Every Moment Matters Music Education Community, where you can continue the conversation, ask questions, make friends, learn things. It's a great place. Come and join us. Okay, one last thing. This is my second to last video of the semester because the semester is kind of winding up, and I do 15 every semester, so this is the second to last one. Next week is my last one, and typically I devote that to questions, thoughts, ideas, any sort of questions you have or things you want me to talk about. Maybe it's something I've talked about already previously in the semester, maybe I haven't, maybe it's just something you're curious about, but I put up a quick Google form, so if you want to just drop your questions there, you can leave your name too if you want, and if you leave me questions there, or I guess even in the comments of this video, I'll try and address all of that next Monday night. So leave your questions early so I can do my research and plan ahead and have examples. But that's next week, because next week's my last video of the semester. But if you want more learning, guess what? I'm teaching ORF Level 1 in 2 places this summer, both at the Orange County Public Schools and Central Florida ORF Chapter levels, and also at the University of Missouri St. Louis. One's at the beginning of the summer, one's at the end of the summer. So if you're interested in either of those, you can check those out by sending me a message or searching either CFOC, Central Florida ORF Chapter levels, or UMSL for University of Missouri St. Louis ORF, and you'll find it. Or you just email me, whatever, I'll send you info. Okay, so I want to talk about how I use written notation with students. I've talked I've talked a couple of weeks ago about improvisation and leading students through the first couple of weeks of recorder, but I wanted to talk about how I help them kind of decode the music and look for similarities, look for things that are different, just give them ideas of how to read and understand music to make it easier on them. So I have a couple examples of what I do with that, and the first one I'm going to show you is just a warm-up. So my students know when they come in, I choose a student teacher, which is just I name one of the students, and they get to go pull out the box of recorders, call out students' names, because each of my students has their own recorder. It lives in the music room for now, so that kid just goes back, starts handing out so that I'm not doing it. And then once kids get their recorder, up on the board is a challenge, and their job is to try and read the note names, do the finger practice, which is reading the notes and rhythms and playing on the recorder, or moving their fingers in the recorder, and then the last thing is to play. And they can play freely at their own speed, whatever, however they want, until they hear ding. I play a little bell or something, and then they have to stop, and we'll all start playing together. So I let them play through and read on their own, and I want to show you sort of a couple of the examples of things, a leveled version, an easier one, and a more complex one, but similar, that I use with kids, and sort of show you what that is and how I explain it. So let me see if like I said, I'm a little late today because of technology issues. So let's hope that this works. I don't know. We're going to find out real fast. Okay. So let me flip this around. So this is a view of one of the things that I show kids when they come in. It's like their warm up. So as you can see, and if you can't see, I'll read it for you. It's just 4 measures with a repeat sign at the end. And the measures are G, 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 A, B, B, A, G, 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 A, B, A, G, G, G. And then it repeats, right? Okay. So pretty simple, pretty basic, but this is for kids who have only learned B, A, and G, who are ready to sort of work through. It's just written notation, not on a staff. It's just tas and titis in a line with the note names written under it. So it's pretty simplified. I'm not having them read on the staff. This is a pretty early version, but what I want them to get out of this is I want them to feel confident playing. I want their tone to be very good. I want them to think about note switching, stuff like that. So this is just an easy warm-up that takes away the stress of reading on the staff, because honestly that involves a completely different part of your brain, and so it sort of for students, it sort of it makes their brain buffer a little bit more because they have to use more of their brain, and it slows them down. So this is just an easy little warm-up, and so I'll just play it one time through so you can hear what it sounds like. Okay, so for those of you who aren't looking at the notation on this video, you're just listening to it on the podcast. That's sort of what it sounds like. So, but again, it's just written note. It's just sort of basic notation with the note name written underneath. So as kids work through that, I let them play through that. As they're working through, what am I doing while I'm wandering around? I'm reminding them, like, okay, left hand on top, and I'm saying things like, ooh, good, but let's check your tone on the G, or you see your fingers sort of slipping off, there's air leaking out, or whatever, all the basic things you might do to talk with kids. But once we ding the bell, I say, okay, before we play this together, quick question. I'm going to ask you about this. So remember, when we talk about this, we can say like measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, measure 4. Or I guess we could say line 1, measure 1, line 1, measure 2, line 2, measure 1, line 2, measure 2. Just 2 ways to talk about it, right? Okay, because it's 2 lines. For the 4 measures are spread across the 2 lines. So then I'll say something like, of those 4 measures, are any of them exactly the same? Do you see any that are exactly the same? And hopefully, yes, they do. So I have them raise their hand and answer that. Okay, so yeah, so measure 1 and measure 3 are exactly the same. The rhythm is the same and the pitches are the same, right? G, 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 A, A. Okay, great. So those 2 are exactly the same. Are there any other measures that start the same but maybe end differently? Hopefully they'll say measure 2 and measure 4, because, well, actually, no, because measure 2 starts B, B, A, A. Measure 4 starts with B, A, G, G, G. So I'd be okay if they said that, because it starts with a ta, ta, so quarter note, quarter note. And so they might say, well, the rhythm starts the same, even though the pitches are different. Okay, that's a cool answer too. I might also ask, which of these measures is the most difficult to play and why? And most of the time they're going to say measure 4, because B, A, G, G, G. So it has the most switching. It's the most different from all the others. So I would absolutely take that as an example. Then we play through it once, where maybe I point as they play, and then usually I'll sit down at the piano and with a really simple little accompaniment and play along as they play through the song. Okay, so this is like early days recorder, right? So here's one that I used this week. So this is a this week example. I'll read through it's the same rhythms, honestly, but the notes have changed. So now the notation is E, 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 G, G, A, G, A, G, E, 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 G, A, B, A, G, G, E. And I will play this for you now too, just so you can hear it. So you might be like, several weeks later, why has it not changed rhythmically? Well, because again, if I want them to deal with more difficult content, I need to balance out in some way so that they're not completely overwhelmed. So instead of changing both the note names and the rhythms, I'm leaving the rhythms pretty simple so that they can focus more on getting a really great tone on low E, figuring out the fingering for low E, figuring out where to put their fingers and how to play that correctly. That is very important. So instead of making it difficult rhythmically and difficult with the new note, I've just simplified. If it were only B and A and G, I might do something longer or more rhythmic, but because I want them to focus on playing low E, I'm not doing that. Okay, so in this instance, again, I'd probably say I'd let them play through. I'd talk through examples. I'd say, okay, left hand on top, right hand on bottom. And I'd say, like, okay, well, let's check your fingers placement for E, you know, like all that sort of stuff. As I'm walking around, as kids are working through this on their own. Then, once we talk about it together, once we're playing together, I might say, okay, so are any two measures exactly the same? And hopefully they're going to say no. And I might say, are any of two of them very, very similar? And hopefully they'll say measure 1 and 3, because it goes ta-dee, ta-dee, ta, ta. So the rhythms are the same, but the pitches are not. Measure 1 goes E, 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 G, G. Measure 3 goes E, 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 G, A. So there's that one note of difference with a different pitch. Yes, that's tricky. It's a little different. So I would hopefully they would recognize that. I would then probably also have the same question as before. Which measure is the trickiest to play and why? And again, they're probably going to say measure 4 because B, A, G, G, E. You start with B and you have to keep adding fingers on. It keeps getting more difficult and you end on low E, which, oh my gosh, remember we talked about that's one of the squeakiest notes we have because you have squeakers and leakers troubles because leakers means air is leaking out around fingers because fingers are not placed in the exact right spot. And it's so many places where you could have fingers out of alignment. So that could be sort of tricky. And then the other thing is if you use the same kind of air that you use for the letter B and A that you do for the letter E, you're going to have squeaks. So you've got to adjust that a little bit and think about how when you get down to low E, you got to have like warmer breath, calmer breath than the breath you use for B and A. And then we'd probably, again, we'd talk through it, we'd play it maybe as I point along, and then I would sit down at the piano and accompany them as we work through. Okay, let me flip my camera around and we'll talk just a little bit more. Okay, so that is, see if Instagram wants to, so that is a warm-up, right? Just a very simple, basic beginning thing. And then we might go into echoing, we might go into student-led creation, we might do improvisation, like whatever else we wanted to do. Usually at the end of the lesson, we work through different songs and pieces. And sometimes it's really simple stuff, sometimes it's more complex. One of the things I found is that if I have a song that has like a backing track, not just like me at the piano or me at an Orff instrument or something else, but if it's like got a legit backing track, kids are like excited. They are very excited because it feels like a professional song or whatever, you know. So I have a couple books that I want to share, and one I'm going to show a couple examples from of books that I have used for many years. And I'm going to walk you through how I share a couple of those pieces with kids. Okay, so one of those books is this book called In the BAG. This is published by Hal Leonard. It's by Janet Day, and I do have it linked on the links page if you want. I use many songs from here, you can see, because it's tabbed. Why do I like it? Because it's very simple. It's easy for them to decode. It comes along with, so like if you open up to one of the songs, Hot Cross Bun. I use this everywhere with kids. It's basically hot cross buns and then hot cross buns inverted. So instead of B-A-G, B-A-G, G-G-G, G-A, B-A-G, it goes G-A-B, G-A-B, B-B-B-B, A-A-A, G-A-B. It's got a fun accompaniment track. Very easy for kids. Okay, so let's say you're using that song. It also comes with an Orff arrangement with percussion, like pitch percussion, or non-pitch percussion, like shakers and drums. It also comes with a full piano score that's easy if you want to accompany, but it also comes with a CD. Maybe now they have digital downloads. I've had this book a while. I don't know. But it also comes with a backing track, which is very cool. Okay, so let me show you a couple songs. Oh, wait, there's another book. Sorry. Another book that Janet Day wrote is this book called All Aboard the Recorder Express. There's volume 1 and volume 2. I have volume 1. I also have volume 2 somewhere. Volume 1 is just easy songs that you can use, all different levels of difficulty. So yes, it does have B, A, and G. It has 3 songs that are exclusively B, A, and G. One that is exclusively B, A, G plus low E plus low D. And then there's a bunch of other variety with high C and high D, different sorts of stuff. Again, all with recordings, with accompaniment tracks, with pitch percussion and non-pitch percussion parts. There's a lot of variety. There are 2 volumes of this. Volume 1 is just sort of whatever, all around the year, or all through the year. Volume 2 is, I believe, holiday or season specific. But I couldn't locate that one when I was about to haul out of school to come home. So I'll check that later. But these 2 books, and I'm going to show you a couple examples out of In the BAG. Now, what I usually do is I usually take a picture of this or put it under the document camera or whatever, and then I go and manipulate on the whiteboard. So I'm going to show you, hopefully, assuming technology works, I'm going to show you what it looks like to kids. I've got my little handy dandy, I've many times showed you this extendable thing you can put your phone in, so it holds your phone over the table to take pictures. Anyway, it's super duper handy, and I use it for like taking videos of reading books and taking pictures of things, like whatever. It's like basically turns your phone into a document camera. Let's hope that my phone works. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of songs of sort of how I go through with kids and decode this. Again, assuming my technology works. Let's hope. Okay, so it looks like it works for Facebook. Let me move this for Instagram. Okay, so again, if I were doing this for real at school, it would be on like the whiteboard projected up there so that kids can see a little better. Okay, this is not focusing. That's great. See, technology. We hope it works. Doesn't always work. But anyway, pretty good. So I would go with a whiteboard marker, but I'm just now doing it right now with a flare tip because this is what I have at home, and I'm doing it document camera style. You could do it document camera style too. Anyway, so we go through, and here's how I mark up Ola BAG. It's a song. It's very simple, just B and A and G. So I would say, okay, the first thing, let's just go through and let's figure out the note names. Okay, so this first one is G. Okay, so G. Wait, that's also a G. Okay, but if you have a G right after a G, do I need to write the note name for the second one? I mean, it's right there. I'm not gonna, if it happens right away, I'm not gonna write it again, just because I know you can see that. Okay, so then the next one is A. Oh, and then what's that? A half rest. Okay, a half rest. So that would mean 2 beats of silence. All right, the next one, ooh, B. Okay, we got B, and then a repeat, so I don't need to rewrite it. And then A. Okay, and then another rest. G. Okay, another G. And then down on the next line, there's an A, okay, and then a half rest, and then a B, and then a B, and then an A, and then a half rest. Okay, so then it says above the notes, it says box B. So that I think means that then we're in a new section. Okay, so let's just stop there for now, because if we're in a new section, we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so hold on just a second. I think I see a pattern in the A section. Do you see a pattern in the A section? I feel like I see something. And again, I'm okay with I would be okay with a couple answers here. I'd be okay if they said half note, half note, half note, half rest, half note, half note, half note, half rest, half note, half note, half note, half rest. I'd be okay with that. I'm also okay with them saying G, G, A, B, B, A, G, G, A, B, B, A, and if the pattern continued to be G, G, A, B, B, A. Okay, so that's pretty simple, actually. Let's play that. So then we would go through and we'd play just the A section. G, G, A, B, B, A, G, G, A, B, B, A, and I probably would point along. The thing I don't like about this is the way it's laid out, because they do this like indent thing here. It bumps this A. It does. You don't have one phrase in one line, which I think could have been done. But if I wanted to rewrite it for myself, I could. But I just don't. Whatever. I'm lazy. I'm not gonna do that. But I think the typeset could have changed, and then that all could have been on one line. Because it sort of breaks the GGA, the second instance of that, across a system, which I think is just frustrating. But it then is interesting to see if kids can see that pattern, because sometimes seeing from the last measure of one system to the first measure of the next is hard for them to like see that and realize that that is connected. So anyway, so it's sort of fun to see them make that connection. So sometimes I might also go in with another color marker and I might do something like GGA, GGA, BBA, BBA. So the GGA I underlined with one color, the BBA I underlined with another color, just so they can see that it repeats and where it comes back. Okay, let's go to the B section and see what they got. So let's see, we've got B, A. And again, I would let kids look and figure this out and call out these note names. I wouldn't just give it to them right away. I would let them sort of figure it out. So half note B, half note A, G, quarter note, quarter rest, half rest. Okay, and then B, A, G, rest, 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 B, A, G, rest, 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 B, A, G. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, so hold on. I think our composer, Janet Day, okay, and Janet, if you're watching this, or listening to this, I somehow don't think you will, but if you're watching or listening to this, I love your work, but I do badmouth you to kids. I say, oh my gosh, look at what Janet did. This whole first section, all she did was write 4 measures and then just repeated it. That's kind of lazy. That's kind of okay, but it does sound good. It does sound good. Maybe that's just like a smart way to compose. Like you like write one thing and then you repeat it. Okay, but then look at the B section. She does it again. Janet just writes these 2 measures she likes and then repeats it. It's like, how many times does that happen? Once here, 1 second there. Here's the third. She does it 4 times. B, A, G, just 4 times in a row. Janet, you could do better. Come on, Janet. Okay, well, anyway, let's go on. So then we've got, let's see, G, G, A. Oh, I don't like the sound of this. This is feeling too familiar. Okay, B, B, A, rest. Oh my gosh, G, G, A. Is this the exact same as the beginning? Hold on. B, A, G, G. Okay, that is not the same. But hold on, if you look, like, and again, I might mark it up in another color. You know what you could maybe say, oops, and I just dropped a pen. You know what you could maybe say, starting right here at the G, G, A, you could almost call this like A prime or like the second A, because basically we're back to the beginning, because you've got G, G, A, B, B, A, G, G, A, and then this last part, this is different. That's not exactly the same, but it's similar. It's similar. So it almost feels like going back to the very beginning, which is kind of crazy. So you almost have like an A, B, A big form for this song. Like not exactly, but almost. Okay, so I think Janet, our composer, is kind of wimping out here, because she could have written more, but I guess we'll have to listen to it and see how it goes, because I don't know. She did a lot of copying. Oh, gosh. Other things we need to look at. There's a repeat sign at the end. Don't forget that. Oh, and then this here at the beginning. Okay, hold on. Let's talk about that. Because if you... so this big, long, black thing. So if you have one of these, that's a what? And they're like, it's a half rest. Oh, sorry, Instagram. You can't see that. That's a half rest. Okay, what if you had one of these? And they're like, okay, that's a whole rest. Great. Okay, so what our composer could have done here at the beginning is she could have written whole rest, bar line, whole rest, bar line, whole rest, bar line, whole rest, bar line. She could have done that. She could have done 4 whole rests in a row, but that takes up quite a bit of space. So one of the cool things that you can do, well, here, and I'll show you, is you can make this kind of long thick line with these like 2 edges on it, and then you can put you can tell how many measures you would just say, like these the whole measure, you just rest for the whole thing, but I want you to do it 4 times. So that's basically saying like this is basically equals 4 half rests, or sorry, 4 whole rests. So like that, well, here, sorry, I keep flipping pages, I'm really sorry about that. I would, again, if this were in my classroom, I would just do this on the whiteboard right next to the projection. So this long symbol here equals 4 whole rests. So at the beginning, that's your introduction, is 4 measures of silence. Okay, cool. So with all this notation, with all this markup, we would then go through and play. We would again talk about where do you see similarities, where do you not. And I'd say this is a super easy song to play. All you have to figure out how to do is play the first 4 measures, B, G, G, A, B, B, A, and then repeat it a bunch of times. And then in the B section, all you have to figure out how to do is B, A, G, and then repeat that a bunch of times. The only thing that's different is the last 2 measures. And that's even easy to do. That even kind of reminds me of the first 2 measures of the B section. Gosh, when I first looked at it, this seemed like a pretty long, tricky song, but actually now that I look for all these like patterns and things that keep coming back, this is like not that hard at all. Ooh, okay, so then we would probably play through, and then one thing that I add to this song is I add in the B section, instead of just B, A, G, I add a staccato on each G. We talk about what that is, because guess what? In another example we're doing, we have a dotted note, so it's like fun to contrast the staccato with the dotted note, and it's very simple for them to sort of see those in contrast and be able to play both. Also being able to lead them through the difference between a staccato on recorder and like a blasted like accent is I think an important and wonderful thing. So we talk through that and then we play. We play once with me pointing along, and then again it repeats, so it's sort of a little bit longer than they feel like, except the tempo is bum 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 bum, bum. So it goes fast. I know it's half notes, but it goes fast. And so we play through once with me pointing, and then maybe I will play on a tenor recorder so they can hear a little bit of a contrast but still follow along, or maybe I will play on the piano, or maybe I'll just play soprano recorder. But we play the recording. There is a recording with a recorder track and one without recorder track, so they can have just the accompaniment or the accompaniment with the recorder voice in there. Okay, another one I'm going to show you just really, really, really quick because I made the copy, so why not? Is Mambo Mary's BAG. We go through and do the same thing where we go through and identify all the notes of these first 2 systems, and we just go through reading the note names and figure out all the note names. I mark in on top of the box what those are, and I go, do you guys know what this song is? They're like, nope, we don't know it. I say, okay, well, just play this first section, just the A section, and it is Mary Had a Little Lamb. That's why it's Mambo Mary's BAG, because it's Mary Had a Little Lamb with like a Latin beat, but then they changed some things in the middle. So that's fun for them to like read the note names, figure out, and then figure out it's a song they already know. So they can like, I mean, that's just like good teaching of reading, not just like music reading, but reading in general, where it's something that maybe they know to expect, but then can also see what that looks like in written notation. So it gives them a chance to like verify what they already know against what they see. So they play through that, and then the B section is really an accompaniment where the melody will show up in the accompaniment, and then they get to accompany. So here, this includes ties across a bar line, which is very interesting for them to do. And we play through all of that. Again, there's a repeat sign. The little tag at the end, the little coda, mimics the first line of the song, which is cool. And at the end, there's this little part that goes bum, 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 bum. And I say, okay, so it's kind of weird to have a whole note and then a rest, 2/8 and a quarter and a rest. It's like bum, ta dee ta. It's kind of weird, but you know what will help you if you just say na, cha cha cha. If you just think cha cha cha, you're going to play those exact the right moment. But again, I go through and I mark up all the note names. We talk about the different sections. We work through them in pieces. We add little helpful things like the cha cha cha, and don't forget the repeat sign. And we look for patterns. We look for places where see these ties. This happens twice. It's the same sort of melodic movements, the same sort of melodic contour, or like you can know what to expect in this first section. It's just a simple way to help them figure out how to play the song and move them through, making it just slightly more complex. Again, having the backing track makes it more interesting for them, and they like playing it because they feel like I kind of know this song. But it's just a little bit more complex and really fun and easy for them to decode. I really value going in and helping them look for similarities, helping them look for patterns, helping them identify places that will be tricky. And so that's why in the warm-up I said, like, which measure do you think will be the hardest to play? And I asked them that because I want them to start thinking about, this will be easier, this one might be tricky. If it's tricky, what do I need to do to modify? What do I need to change? It just helps them play better. So I'm not just throwing content at them. I'm giving them opportunities to play and then asking them as they're playing, like, okay, think about this. Is this going to be easy? Is it not? Why not? How do you change it? Yada, yada, yada. It gives them skills that are very helpful. Okay, both of those songs were from In the BAG by Janet Day, who I really do love, even though to the kids I'm like, oh my gosh, Janet, you keep copying yourself. Why do you do that? But actually, Janet, I kind of like that because, you know, it helps me find patterns. And when I've already played it before, then I feel better about playing it again. Like I say those literal exact things to kids. So I do give Janet a hard time. But then we play, what's the one that we play? Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And I go, Mozart, you just kept copying yourself. But I mean, it worked. It's a classic. But Mozart, oh my gosh, you keep copying. Because we talk about how it's an A, B, A. And in the B section, it's just one phrase and then the exact identical phrase copied again. So I say, well, you know, if Mozart can do it, I guess Janet can do it too. Anyway, so I really like these books. They're fun and easy to decode with kids. The other thing I love is that, I don't know if you noticed this when you were seeing this on the overhead sort of thing, it says, this page may be further photocopied by choirs or groups within purchaser's institution only. This provision does not confer any other rights to the purchaser's institution. But it means that I can copy these and share these with kids if I want, if I have the book. The books are not terribly expensive. I put a link to them on the links page. But there's In the BAG, which I would get first if I were getting these again, if I were recommending them, and I am. And then I would say All Aboard the Recorder Express 1. If you love all these 3, then get All Aboard the Recorder Express 2. And there's like a little bit of overlap, like Hot Cross Fun is in both of these, and Recorder Rap is in both of these. But otherwise, there's not a lot of overlap. Like it's pretty much new content for each book. So check them out if you're interested. All right, this is my last week talking about Recorder. I guess not. Next week is my last video of the semester. If you have specific questions, please use that Google form, which I put on the links page, and I'll put in the comments for Facebook to help you all find that. But ask your questions, because next week I'm going to try to just answer questions and if you have questions about a lesson I've already taught this semester or something else or an extension, or you're just interested in anything, let me know and I will talk about that next week in my last Musical Mondays video. All right, thanks for coming along with me, everyone, and I will see y'all next week for the last Musical Mondays video. All right, bye, everyone.